Hello mga kawawmat, in this video lesson, we will discuss one of the strategy in business and that is the markup. So bago natin i-discuss yung tungkol sa markup, so kapag tayo ay nagbi-business, ang goal natin ay kumita. Magkaroon ng magandang profit, so malaki man o malaki yung business natin. Kaya may kanya-kanya tayong strategy o ginagawa kasi alam natin na marami tayong competitors. So bago natin i-offer yung isang item, so ang ginagawa natin, nagtatanong tayo, nagsasurvey tayo sa mga consumers kung ano ba talaga yung gusto nila. Kaya mas maganda kapag tayo nag-business, unique yung item na ino-offer natin sa mga consumers. So itong i-discuss natin is isang strategy no, ng mga sa business, isang strategy sa business kung paano kumita o magkaroon ng magandang profit. Kasi yun ang goal na talaga natin kapag tayo nagbi-business, kumita. So markup is the difference between the cost of the item and its selling price. A markup is added to the total cost incurred by producers of goods or services. And also, it usually expressed in terms of percent. So, the word difference, added, and percent. So, yan yung tatandaan natin sa markup. So, pag sinabi nating markup, ito ay yung difference mula dun sa previous selling price and then sa panibagong selling price. So, tuwing kailan nangyayari ito? Lalo na kapag, let's say for example, tumaas yung presyo ng oil. So, of course, it's natural na magtataasan itong mga items na nakadepende doon. So that is the markup. Yung yun yung amount doon sa pagitan ng unang selling price at sa panibagong selling price. So the cost price, the price that a merchant pays for an item. The selling price, the price at which the commodity is sold per unit. So itong mga ito ay madalas nating mai-encounter. Markup, okay, yung markup can be stated in two ways. Based on cost and based on selling price. So makakuha natin yung markup rate and based on cost and based on selling price. So markup rate based on cost, the ratio of markup to its cost expressed in percent. And markup rate based on selling price, the ratio of the markup to its selling price expressed in percent. So what are the basic formulas to compute the markup? Okay, to compute the selling price, so ang gagawin lang natin, add lang natin yung markup, okay, plus the total cost. And markup, the selling price minus the cost. So yung cost dito class, ito yung previous selling price. Okay, ito yung previous amount. Okay. And then, yung S natin dito, this is the current amount or the new selling price. The total cost, of course, ima-minus lang natin yung new selling price doon sa markup natin para makuha natin yung total cost. So for example, an office table with a total cost of 2,230 is sold for 2,900 pesos. So what is the amount of markup? So ang tinatanong dito yung amount ng markup. So first, identify muna natin yung mga given. So yung selling price natin is 2,900 pesos. And then the total cost is 2,230 pesos. So to compute, use this formula, S minus C. So 2,900 minus 2,230, the answer is 670 pesos. So the amount or the markup is 670 pesos. Another example, the list of pair of shoes in a discount store is 650 pesos. The item cost 490 pesos. After negotiation with a buyer, the pair of shoes was sold at 550 pesos. What are the initial markup and the maintained markup price? So the given, so the list price is 650 pesos and the cost is 490 pesos. Selling price, so ito yung nakuha, ito yung new selling price, new selling amount, that is 550 pesos. So the initial markup, so list price minus the total cost, which is 650 minus 490. So the initial markup is 160 pesos. And then the maintained markup, selling price minus the cost. So the selling price is 550 minus 490. The maintained markup is 60 pesos. So hindi na pwedeng bumaba. So ito na kasi yung pinaka-maintained markup niya, 60 pesos. So the initial markup is 160 pesos if nabenta yan ng 650. Pero kapag nakuha ng 550, so the amount of the markup is 60 pesos. Another example, Mrs. Ravenna, an entrepreneur, has 500 bags remaining stock of cement. So the previous selling price of cement was 175 pesos per bag. And the current selling price is 186 pesos per bag. So what is the markup and the total profit based on the markup? For first, what are the given? So the remaining stock of cement is 500 bags. And the total cost is 175 pesos. The selling price is 185 pesos. So first, what is the markup? Since yung given natin, may yung total cost and the selling price, so ima-minus natin ngayon. So the selling price minus the cost, 185 minus 175, that is 10 pesos. So ibig sabihin, class, yung 10 pesos, kasi nga, ang ginawa niya, so yung ginawa niya, from the previous amount na 175 pesos, so nabenta niya sa new selling price na 186 pesos. So the markup amount is 10 pesos. Ngayon, magkano yung total profit niya o yung magkano yung lahat na kikitain niya? So, para makuha natin yung total profit, so ang gagawin lang natin, i-multiply lang natin yung total remaining stock times the markup. So, the remaining stock is 500 times 10. So, 500 times 10, that is 5,000. So, ibig sabihin, yung total profit based on the markup ni Mrs. Ravenna is 5,000 pesos. So, when the markup is a percent of the cost becomes the base of the 100%. Suppose an item had a 25% markup on cost, then the formula would be the total cost plus the markup. Okay, so the selling price is 125 pesos since ang base amount natin is yung base ako, so siya yung 100% plus 25% na markup. So the selling price, that is 125%. So in other words, the selling price is 125% of the cost. So here's the formula for the markup based on cost. So pag kukunin natin yung markup based on cost, so the markup rate times the cost. And then to compute the rate, the markup, divide it by the total cost, and the cost, the markup divided by the markup rate. So for example, find the markup and selling price that costs 24 pesos. If there is a 35% markup on cost, so kukunin natin yung markup and selling price. So what are the given? The rate is 35%, so we can convert it into decimal. So ito yung markup rate, 35%. So yung 35%, once na kinonvert natin into decimal, that is 0.35. And the total cost is 24 pesos. So first, kunin natin yung markup. So pag kukunin natin yung markup based on cost, i-multiply lang natin yung markup rate doon sa total cost. So 0.35 times 24, the answer is 8.40 pesos. So ito ngayon yung markup amount. And then the selling price, using this dun sa basic formulas natin. So the selling price, the markup plus the total cost, 8.40 plus 24, the answer is 32.40 pesos. So ito na ngayon yung bagong selling price. So therefore, kapag kinuha natin o kinonvert natin, so yung percent in based on cost, of course, sabi nga kanina sa definition, yung cost natin, that is the baseline. So siya yung 100%. Okay, so tingnan natin. 32.40 yung selling price natin, yung cost natin is 24 pesos, and the markup is 8.40. So kapag kinukuha natin yung markup based on cost, kunin natin yung percentage, lagi natin tatandaan kapag based on cost yan, 100% yung sa cost. O, doon natin ilalagay. Siya yung 100%. So kapag kukunin natin yung percentage ng selling price based on cost, so ang gagawin nyo lang, i-divide nyo lang ito doon sa amount ng cost natin. So 32.40 divide 24, and then i-multiply sa 100, that is 135%. So 135%. And then sa markup, okay, to check kung talagang 35%, so i-divide lang natin 8.40 divide 24. So dinivide lang natin yung markup natin dito sa cost natin times 100, and that is 35%. Okay. So kung makikita nyo, kung ito yung kapag based on cost, kung ano yung markup natin, idadagdag mo lang yun. Yun yung percentage ng selling price natin. Alright? Next, another example. If the markup on the marker is 18 pesos and the markup rate is 30% on cost, find the cost and the selling price of the marker. So the given rate or the markup rate is 30% or 0.30 in decimal. So the markup is 18 pesos. So kukunin natin yung cost. So using this formula, okay? So the markup divided by the markup rate. So 18 divided 0.30, the answer is 60 pesos. So yan yung cost natin. And then the selling price, since the markup is 18 pesos plus the cost, total cost is 60 pesos. So 60 plus 18, the answer is 78 pesos. So the selling price is 78 pesos. Pag kukunin natin yung percentage ng markup and the selling price based on cost, so again, yung selling price is 78, the cost is 60 pesos, and the markup is 18 pesos. So pag kukunin natin yung percentage based on the cost ng selling price and then markup, so yung cost natin, that is 100%. So same process, i-divide lang natin yung selling price natin sa total cost. 78 divided 60, that is 130%. And then kapag kukunin yung markup, 18 divided 60 times 100, the answer is 30%. So ganyan kunin natin yung corresponding percentage ng selling price and then markup based on cost. Sometimes the markup is based on the selling price. So this is often more convenient than determining the markup on cost since the cash register records the transaction based on the selling price. Also, discounts and sales commission are based on the selling price of the items. So when the markup is based on the selling price becomes the base or 100%. So for example, if there is a 25% markup on the selling price, the formula looks like cost plus the markup. Okay, so kung kanina kapag based on cost, so yung base natin, yung 100% natin nasa cost. Ngayon, nasa selling price naman siya. So 100% yung selling price natin. So if there is a 25% markup, of course the cost is 75%. So here's the formula. To compute the markup based on selling price, so the markup rate times the selling price. To compute the markup rate, that is markup rate divided by the selling price. And for selling price, markup divide the markup rate. For example, a sandal sells for 150 pesos. If there is a 30% markup on the selling price, find the cost and the amount of markup. So what are the given? Rate is 30% or 0.30 and the selling price is 150 pesos. So first, find the markup. Okay, find the amount of the markup using the formula. The markup rate times the selling price. So 0.30 times 150, the answer is 45 pesos. So the amount of the markup is 45 pesos. And to compute the cost, we have the selling price minus the markup. So the selling price minus the markup, so 150 minus 45. So the cost is 105 pesos. And then if we want to convert or get the percentage of the selling price, no, of the cost and the markup based on selling price, so ang mangyayari class, ang 100% ngayon ay na-sky selling price. Okay, 'di ba kanina sa based on cost, yung 100% nakay cost. Ngayon, nakay selling price naman. So siya yung 100%. So kung kukunin natin yung percentage ng cost natin based on selling price, so paano natin gagawin? So i-divide lang natin yung amount ng cost natin doon sa selling price. So 105 divide 150 times 100, the answer is 70%. And then ganun din si markup. I-divide natin si 45 kay selling price. So 45 divide 150 times 100, the answer is 30%. Okay. So kailangan mag-total ito ng 100%. Yung kapag inad natin yung cost natin saka markup. One more example. If the markup on a ball pen is 6 pesos and the markup rate is 30% of the selling price, find the selling price and the cost of the scrapbook. So, given, the rate is 30% or 0.30 and the markup is 6 pesos. So, the selling price is, we can compute by using the formula markup divided by the markup rate. So, yung markup natin is 6 pesos divided by 0.30. So, the answer is 20 pesos. So, para makuha natin yung yung cost, selling price minus the markup. So, 20 pesos minus the markup, which is 6 pesos. So, 20 minus 6, yung sagot natin is 14 pesos. So, kagaya kanina, so kung kukunin natin yung corresponding percentage ng cost at ng markup natin based on the selling price, so ang baseline natin is yung selling price. So, that siya yung 100%. So, kagaya ng ginawa natin, para makuha yung percentage ng cost, 14 divide 20 times 100, that is 70%. And 6 divide 20 times 100, that is 30%. So, dapat kapag inad natin ito, para ma-check natin na tama yung sagot natin, equal dapat ito sa 100%. Okay, converting markup based on the cost to markup based on the selling price and vice versa. So, paano ginagawa? So, for example, yung rate based on cost natin, 100%, dapat yun nandun sa kay cost. Kapag based on selling price, yung 100% na kay selling price. So, let's say, yung markup rate natin is 50% and then yung markup rate, yung selling price rate natin based on cost is 150%. So, paano natin ngayon kukunin yung rate ng cost based on selling price at yung markup rate natin based on selling price kapag itong given? So, meron tayo. I-convert natin. So, para makuha lang yan, ang gagawin lang natin, for markup, diba? For markup, anong gagawin? So, first, use this formula. So, the markup of cost, okay, rate based on cost, no? Para makuha natin, ito yung markup based on cost, that over 1 plus the markup based on cost. So, meron tayong 50%, okay, so that is 50% kapag kinonvert natin into decimal, that is 0.5. And then divided by 1 plus 0.5. Or pwede rin naman class, 50% divide 150%. I-direct nyo na. So, using this formula, okay, para masanay lang din kayo, So, 0.5, ito yon 50%, kinonvert natin into decimal, divided by 1 plus 0.5, or that is 1.5 na. So, times 100. So, 0.5 divided by 1.5 times 100, the answer is 33.33%. So, ibig sabihin 33.33% ito. So, again, kapag may given tayong rate based on cost, may given na selling price and markup, para makuha natin yung corresponding rate niya based on selling price. So, ang gagawin lang natin, kapag ito yung hahanapin natin, i-divide lang natin ito. Tapos, i-multiply sa 100. So, that is 33.33%. And then, kapag kukunin naman natin yung cost rate based on the selling price, so, paano gagawin? So, 100%, diba, kapag based on selling price, dapat yung total ng cost saka markup 100%. So, ima-minus lang natin. 100% minus 33.33%, the answer is 66.67%. Okay, paano naman kapag nandito yung given? So, sila yung given. Tapos, kukunin natin yung markup saka yung selling price. So, ganun lang din. So, ang gagawin kapag kukunin natin yung markup based on cost, so 33.33, so i-convert nyo yan into decimal, all over, so kung kanina add, no, kasi ito yung hinahanap natin. Ngayon, ito naman yung hinahanap natin. Dito, magma-minus tayo. 1 minus 0.333, so this is for, dagdagan nyo na lang ng 3, times 100, ang makukuha natin dyan, 50%. Okay? So, parehas lang. So, baliktaran lang yan. So, sundan nyo lang. Or, pwede nyo na i-direct class. Diba? I-convert agad nyo ito into decimal, tapos i-divide ito para makuha ito. And then, para makuha ito, since 100%, yung based on selling price, kailangan, kapag inad itong dalawa, 100%. So, kung ito naman yung given, tapos kukunin mo to, i-divide mo lang ito doon sa difference nung 100 saka nung 66.67, nung difference rather nung 100 saka nung markup rate para makuha natin yung markup rate based on cost. Okay, for it to practice, sige. So, paano natin complete the following table? So, pag ganyan, kailangan natin itong mga formula na to. So, for number 1, the given selling price is 480 pesos and the markup is 120 pesos. So, yung unang makukuha natin dito, yung cost. Diba? So, paano natin makukuha? Diba, ima-minus lang natin yung selling price minus the markup. So, for 80 minus 120, that is 360. And then, paano kunin yung markup cost? So, of course, yung markup natin, i-divide natin sa amount ng cost natin. So, 120 divided by 360 times 100. So, that is 33.33%. And then, yung markup natin, based on selling price, so, yung markup naman, doon naman natin i-divide kay selling price. So, 120 divide 480 times 100, the answer is 25%. So, another. So, sa number 2, ang given natin yung cost na 300 pesos saka yung markup. So, nawawala naman yung selling price saka yung rate ng markup natin based on cost and based on selling price. So, ang una nating makukuha dyan, ito, yung sa selling price. So, paano kunin yung selling price? That is, what? So, add lang natin. So, 300 plus 120, the answer is 420. So, same process para makuha natin yung rate ng markup based on cost. 120 divide 300 times 100, the answer is 40%. And then, para makuha natin yung rate ng markup based on selling price, so 120 divide 420 times 100, the answer is 28.57%. So, dito, so ano yung unang makukuha natin sa number 3? Since yung given, yung amount ng cost natin ay 500 pesos, tapos yung markup rate based on cost is 75%. So, ano yung una natin makukuha? Yung markup. Okay, so yung markup yung unang makukuha natin. So, paano natin kunin? Cost, 500 times So that will be 375. So yung markup natin is 375 pesos. So makukuha na natin yung selling price. Add lang natin tong dalawa. And that is 875 pesos. And then yung markup rate based on selling price, 375 divide 875 times 100, that is 42.86%. Okay, next. So dito, ang given naman ay selling price tapos yung uh, markup rate based on selling price which is 30%. So paano natin makukuha yung tatlo? Anong unang makukuha natin dito? Yung markup, of course. Makukuha natin yung markup. So by multiplying 500 times 30% or 0.30, that is 150. And then, of course, makukuha na natin yung cost. So, minus lang. 500 minus 150, the answer is 350. And then, makukuha na rin natin ito. So, by dividing 150, divide 350 times 100, the answer is 42.86%. Okay. That is based on cost. What if kapag sa conversion naman? Halimbawa, 60%, ano yung corresponding niya sa rate no, based on selling price? Kapag sa based on cost, 200%, sa selling price, ano yung corresponding percentage niya? So, kailangan natin yung formula na to, yung kanina, bago itong practice exercises. So, ang gagawin mo lang, so sa number 1, 60% yung rate natin based on cost. So, ang gagawin lang, 60% divided by 1 plus 60% or 1.6 na yun, no? Times 100. So, that is 37.5%. So, sundan nyo lang itong formula class. So, you can come up also number 2. Makakuha sa number 2, 166.67%. And for number 3, so, mula naman kay dito sa ano natin, markup rate based on selling price, kukunin natin yung markup rate based on cost. So, saan yan? So, mula dito, and then kukunin natin yung markup cost. So, gamitin natin yung formula na to. So, kapag sa number 3, kinuha natin yan, ang makukuha natin yung 66.67%. And for number 4, it is negative 300%. So, you can check using your calculator.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button para updated kayo for more video tutorial. This is your guide in learning your math lesson, your Wow Math channel.